Edward III, currently at war with France, had 5 sons, the Black Prince, John Duke of Lancaster, Edmund Duke of York and the other 2. When Edward and the Black Prince died, the throne was left to Richard II, the son of the Black Prince. Henry IV, son of John, would eventually seize control from Richard, and the throne would eventually pass down the line to Henry VI. Henry, feckless and weak-willed, married Margaret of Anjou in an attempt to gain French support. However, Henry's poor mental state and losses in the war against France meant nobles instead wanted Richard, Duke of York, to rule. Richard and his ally the Earl of Warwick would battle with Henry's forces at the First Battle of St. Albans. With a Yorkish victory, Henry was captured, and Richard's succession was secured as he was named Lord Protector. Margaret, however, would raise her own army with help from Scotland and France. The forces would clash again, but Richard and one of his sons would lose their lives, and Henry would be restored to power. Warwick would crown Richard's son Edward IV, King of England. Edward and Warwick would march against the Lancastrians, and, with their victory, Henry, Margaret, and their son fled. Warwick intended for Edward to marry a French princess for political power, but Edward instead secretly married elsewhere. Warwick would then switch sides, forming alliances with Margaret and the French, and overwhelmed Edward's forces. Edward fled to Flanders, but would return and push back against the Lancasters, killing both Henry and his son. Edward IV would rule England until his death in 1483. Upon his death, his 12-year-old son was set to be king, but Edward's brother announced that his brother's secret marriage made the child's claim illegitimate. Young Edward and his brother conveniently disappeared, and Richard III became King of England. Henry Tudor, a Lancastrian raised in exile and a direct descendant of Edward III, won support from both York and Lancastrian. Due to Richard's power grab, Henry would go on to defeat Richard at the Battle of Bosworth Field and be crowned Henry VII. He married Elizabeth of York, daughter of Edward IV, joining the two houses of Lancaster and York.